Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Magnetic Podcasts. Today, we're diving into one of history's most iconic figures, Abraham Lincoln. Now, I know you've all heard about him as a president, but today, we're going to look beyond the history books. We want to talk about him as a person, someone who faced big challenges and made hard choices. And yes, he also told a lot of jokes.
So, did you know that Lincoln grew up doing really hard work on a farm? He used to say it was like fighting with trees and logs all day. Imagine a little kid doing all that. Yet even as a young boy, he found time to read every book he could get his hands on. His stepmother, Sally, helped him a lot. She would get him books after he finished his farm chores. That's what I call a good reward.
But there's more to his story than just books and hard work. Lincoln also had a lot of sadness in his life. He lost his mother when he was only 9 years old, and then his sister, who was like a mother to him. Can you imagine how tough that must have been? It's no wonder people said he looked sad all the time. Even though he had so many reasons to be sad, Lincoln always tried to stay strong. I think that's what made him such a powerful leader later in life. What do you think?
Absolutely. Lincoln's story is both inspiring and heartbreaking. He went through so many tough moments, but instead of giving up, he became stronger each time. He even said once that without all those hardships, he might never have become president. And speaking of being president, did you know he wasn't always popular? I mean, today, people see him as a hero. But back then, not everyone liked his ideas.
Take his stance on slavery, for example. When Lincoln spoke out against it, he made a lot of enemies. He knew that his views could cost him his political career, but he kept speaking. He was like a fire that kept burning even when the wind tried to blow it out. That's real courage, don't you think? I can't imagine many people standing up like that, especially when you know people might hate you for it.
But you know what's even more amazing? He was a lawyer before he became president, and he only had 1 year of formal school. Just one. He taught himself law by reading. By reading, for goodness sake. And when he finally got a job in politics, he was known as Honest Abe because he was so fair. I wish we had more people like Lincoln today. Maybe then the world would be a little better, don't you agree?
Honest Abe had a reputation that people respected. But his journey wasn't just about being fair and good-hearted. He also had a sense of humor. People who knew Lincoln said he loved telling stories and making people laugh. He once joked that if he were two-faced, why would he choose to wear the one he had? Ha! Can you imagine a president making fun of himself like that? It's so rare.
And that's not all. He was very tall. Like really tall. He was 6 feet 4 inches, which made him stand out in any crowd. His looks were unique too. He had long legs, a skinny frame, and a face that seemed serious all the time. But those who met him in person said his eyes were kind and full of understanding. You know, he had this quality where even if he was arguing against someone, he did it with kindness. It wasn't just about winning the argument. It was about helping people see a new way of thinking. That's a skill we all could use.
So, yes, Lincoln was tough and smart, but he was also someone who made people feel understood. I think that's what made him such a great leader. He led by showing empathy and strength, not just power. What do you think made Lincoln such an admired person?
You hit the nail on the head. Lincoln's kindness and his ability to connect with others are what made him different. And it wasn't just in politics. Even in his personal life, he cared deeply. Take his relationship with his stepmother, Sally. He called her Mama until his last days. He loved her as if she were his real mother. It's really sweet when you think about it.
But Lincoln wasn't always happy. He had a lot of sadness, too. He lost his children, one after another, and his wife, Mary Todd, had many health problems. Imagine being a president, dealing with a civil war, and then coming home to even more heartbreak. That's a lot for anyone to handle. Yet Lincoln kept going. He said it was his duty to keep the country united, and he didn't let anything stop him.
Another thing I find amazing is that Lincoln changed his mind over time. At first, he didn't call for the complete end of slavery. He wanted to stop its spread, but as he saw more and more suffering, he realized that freedom was the only answer. That's why he signed the Emancipation Proclamation. It was a huge decision that would change history forever. It's like he grew with each challenge. Don't you find that inspiring?
Absolutely. His ability to grow and change is what made him stand out. A lot of people stick to their ideas no matter what, but Lincoln was different. He listened, learned, and adapted. That's something we should all try to do. It's not just about knowing what's right, it's about finding out what's right by keeping an open mind.
And then there was the Civil War. Lincoln had to make some really hard choices. He even had to ignore some rules to keep the country together. Imagine having to do that. He once said that if saving the Union meant keeping slavery, he would do it, and if ending slavery would save the Union, he would do that too. His main goal was to keep the country as one. It was only later, when he saw the bigger picture, that he chose to end slavery completely.
But the saddest part is that just as he was starting to see the country heal, he was killed. It's so tragic. He did all that hard work, fought through so much pain, and in the end, he didn't get to see the results of his efforts. It's like planting a tree and never getting to see it grow. That must have been really hard for his family. It's a real-life drama story, isn't it?
It really is. Lincoln's life was like a movie full of highs and lows. There's so much we can learn from him. Whether it's about handling tough situations, being kind even when you don't have to, or standing up for what you believe in. He was a complex person, serious but funny, strong but sensitive.
And you know what else? Lincoln's legacy goes beyond just history books. He's a symbol of hope and perseverance. People all over the world know his name, and his story is still told today. We can look at his life and understand that even in the darkest times, we can find a way to move forward.
So, to everyone listening out there, if you ever feel like giving up, just remember Honest Abe. He didn't have an easy life, but he made the best out of it. He used his struggles to help millions of people. If he could do it, so can we.
And that's it for today's episode of Magnetic Podcasts. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories, and don't forget, every great journey begins with small steps. See you next time.